Hello guys, back again with the El Razda channel. Here I will tell Donghua which I think is interesting to discuss and which you guys may not have watched yet. And the Donghua that I will explain this time is called the First Order. This is a Donghua-themed post-apocalyptic world where humans are forced to survive in a world that has been chaotic after a major disaster that is still unknown. The humans also have to take refuge in a fortress to survive. In this world, there are also superpowers that are a blessing obtained by certain people after achieving what is called awakening. This story will focus on an 18-year-old teenage boy who also gets unique superpowers. The power that the MC gets allows him to be able to sneak other people's skills randomly. The MC here also has a clever and silly nature that will further add to the excitement during the course of the story. Then how is the excitement? Okay, then without lingering anymore, we will just go straight into the storyline. The scene begins in a location called the interior of the wilderness, where we will be shown with a man who is in a cave. This man, whose identity is unknown, appears to be carving a sentence on a rock wall, and the sentence contains that he and his group saw the appearance of strange shadows. And in the end, this man lost all his group mates. This sentence became an unsolved mystery at the beginning of the story. From the wilderness area, we will then move on to the area around fort number 113. In a barren desert plain, we will be shown a crow who is distracted when he sees food lying on the surface. There is also a frying pan supported by a piece of wood. And of course, the fact is that it is a trap deliberately set by a man, and he is Ren Xiaosu, the main protagonist in this Donghua series. In this post-apocalyptic world, meat is a fairly rare type of food, as is crow meat, which has a fairly high value if it is sold to a market. And to stop the raven from rebelling, in the end, Xiaosu strangled him to death, and here he also received a wound on his palm. After successfully getting his prey, Xiaosu, who intended to immediately move home, suddenly experienced pain in his head that felt as if there was a golden bell that hit him. Receiving unbearable pain, in the end he had to fall and end up unconscious in the middle of the desert. When he opens his eyes again, Ren Xiaosu is now completely in a different place from the previous place. He woke up in a mysterious room that was covered by mist on the floor surface. Inside the mysterious room, he also saw a table filled with a typewriter that looked very exclusive. Right in front of the table there is also a large gate, and when touched by Ren Xiaosu, he immediately woke up to the real world. After getting the vision, he then rushed back to run home under the rain and used his frying pan as an umbrella. But in the middle of his journey, he was stopped by a bandit. Here the Nandit asked for the crow that Xiaosu had just gotten, and to subvert the bandit, Xiaosu used the skill of throwing a frying pan. In Xiaosu's hands, he can also use the frying pan to do everything, guys. But at the same time, Xiaosu heard voices coming from nowhere that gave him a mission, where Xiaosu was required to give the prey he got to the bandit earlier. He still didn't realize that the voice came from the typewriter he had previously encountered when he fainted earlier. Because he was curious about what happened, in the end, Xiaosu then followed the directions of the mission. He returned to the bandit, who at that time seemed to be horrified by Xiaosu after feeling the move of throwing a frying pan. But unexpectedly, the man he had just wanted to rob instead gave his precious prey just like that, making the bandit think that Xiaosu was a very good man. After the crow's body was touched by the bandit, the voice coming from the typewriter stated that the mission to give prey to others was declared complete. And as a reward, Xiao Su got a piece of basic level skill paper, and after use, this skill paper can make Xiao Su learn other people's skills instantly. Knowing that his mission was complete, Xiao Su then made the bandit feel disappointed when Xiao Su returned to take the prey he had just given to the bandit. Of course, Xiao Su's goal turned out to be just to complete his mission. From here, we know that this MC turned out to be smart guys. Fort 113 is a location where Ren Xiaosu lives with his brother, but he does not live in the safe fort, but around the outside of the fort. It is clear that this area is inhabited by poor people who live in poverty. Xiao Su, who came home with a crow, also became the center of attention. Seeing Xiao Su, who often brought prey, a man felt that Xiao Su was very lucky because he didn't need to work to make money because all he did every day was hunt and then go home with valuable game. This fact makes a thug with glasses on his forehead feel jealous and intends to rob the prey obtained by Xiao Su. But Xiao Su, who was aware of the thug's evil intentions, immediately looked at him with a sharp look. Before the thug launched his action, a colleague advised him not to make trouble with Xiao Su, because he is a very difficult person to deal with. Especially in this region, Xiao Su is also known as a mentally ill person. After returning to the vicinity of his residence, he also briefly crossed paths with a lady named Li Xiaoyu. Here, the lady also felt very worried when she saw Xiao Su get a wound on his palm after returning from his hunt. The lady felt that the wound would be dangerous if left untreated, but Xiao Su thought that it was just a minor injury. Besides that, the lady also asked Xiao Su to quickly meet his younger brother, because the lady heard that Xiao Su's younger brother had been waiting for his return all day, and he had been coughing for a whole day. Feeling worried about the younger brother, Xiao Su then went into the room where he lived to see the younger brother's condition. And after examining him, Xiao Su was grateful that his younger brother did not have a fever. And from here, it was known that Xiao Su's younger brother was named Yan Liu Yuan, and their different surnames showed that these siblings were basically not related by blood. But even so, Xiao Su felt very fond of his younger brother. Xiao Su here also had asked his younger brother not to overuse his superpowers, because it would have an impact on the weak body he had. It is said that when someone manages to awaken their superpowers, they will become stronger when compared to people in general in a certain aspect. In this case, Liu Yuan has an ability called Wish, which will take effect when he asks for a wish or curse. But unfortunately, Liu Yuan is different. After he uses his super ability, he will immediately feel pain as a payment for his relatively strong abilities. While cooking soup for the younger brother, Xiao Su again reminded him that the younger brother should not make himself sick by using his skills just to help Xiao Su, because Xiao Su felt that he could take care of himself during the hunting period. That's why the younger brother didn't need to protect him, because Liu Yuan had to protect himself first, who had a weak body. Not long after, the soup was finally cooked. Here, Xiao Su gave his young brother all of the soup's contents, while he himself will only eat the soup water. At the same time, it also occurred to Xiao Su that he wanted to invite the lady Xiao Yu earlier to live in this room, because he felt that Xiao Yu seemed to care about Liu Yuan. In addition, this is also so that there is someone to look after Liu Yuan when Xiao Su is hunting at night. But the younger brother did not want it because he still could not trust Miss Xiao Yu. According to the younger brother, Miss Xiao Yu, who often did good to the two of them, was because the woman had a wish, because Xiao Su often brought quite valuable prey. Of course, although that is true, according to Xiao Su, it is a natural thing in an era when everyone is forced to be able to survive like this. And with confidence, Xiao Su also said Miss Xiao Yu, who often approached him, was not because of the prey he often got. But the lady Xiao Yu was attracted to the good looks that Xiao Su had. Because he chatted too much with his sister, Xiao Su forgot that the soup he hadn't lifted was dry. And he didn't eat the soup that only had water left, guys. Then Xiao Su told the younger brother to finish the soup immediately, while Xiao Su himself would bring the crow he got to sell, and later the money from the sale of the crow would be used to pay for his younger brother's school. Xiao Su told his younger brother to study hard so that one day he could become a teacher so that they could live a better life in the future. Because at this time, being a teacher is a promising job. In the middle of Xiao Su's journey to sell cow meat, we will also be shown the uniqueness contained in this settlement. In the other direction, a doctor was seen ignoring a dying old man. This kind of chaos is a normal thing and often happens in the vicinity of the Fort 113 area, so that's why Xiao Su here doesn't seem so surprised to see it. Until finally, Xiao Su arrived at a shop of his acquaintance. This is a shop run by a fat man named Wang Fugui. After calculating and weighing, Wang Fugui here will give a price of 700 yuan for the crow obtained by Xiao Su. But Xiao Su thinks that the price is too low. He feels that at least this crow can be sold for 900 yuan because now it is almost entering the winter time, so that the meat supply will be quite difficult to obtain, and because Wang Fugui does not want to sell it. But Xiao Su thought the price was too low. He felt that at least this crow could be sold for 900 yuan, because now it is almost winter time. So the meat supply will be quite difficult to obtain. And because Wang Fugui did not want to increase the price, here Xiao Su used the mainstay of negotiation that is usually used by shopping mothers, namely pretending to run away while saying another shop might give him a good price. And of course, because he did not want to lose the crow meat, Wang Fugui stopped Xiao Su before he went far. Wang Fugui then asked how much the bird was worth. But because the pleasantries were too much of a waste of time, he would meet the price of 900 yuan that Xiao Su wanted before. But it's not that easy. Here, Xiao Su will instead raise the price and sell it for 1200 yuan. And in the end, the crow was sold for 1198 yuan because Fugui only had that much money. In addition, here Xiao Su also asked the price of antibiotics and anti-inflammatory drugs, making Wang Fugui excited, even though Xiao Su just wanted to ask questions. And it is known, antibiotic drugs are priced at 210 yuan. And for people who are sick, at least they have to take antibiotics 3 times in 3 days, so a total of 620 yuan for 3 drugs. Because the price of the drug is very expensive, and the wound on Xiao Su's palm does not seem to be too serious. In the end, he did not buy the medicine.
冬天一般不会发炎。
In the other direction, Xiao Su also saw hanging some cotton jackets that are useful for protecting the body in winter, and the jackets were sold for 490 yuan. And Wang Fugui did not take advantage of the sale of the jackets, so there was no bargaining session, and in the end, Xiao Su also bought 1 jacket that he would later give to his brother, as well as a piece of brown bread because Xiao Su himself had not eaten. After looking outside the shop, Xiao Su wondered why there were so many mercenaries gathered there. And then it was explained by Fugui that there was a famous singer who came from this fort, and his name was Luo Xinyu. Where Luo Xinyu is going to hold an event, and the destination of the next event is Fort 112. In order to keep the singer's trip safe, these mercenaries were hired. In addition, what makes Wang Fugui feel surprised is that these mercenaries chose the fastest route to go to Fort 112 by going through the Jingsan mountain route, even though the mercenaries who have been living in this fort are not very familiar with this dangerous place. After hearing about Jingsan Mountain, Xiao Su was reminded of the past time when he went to Jingsan Mountain and was attacked by a very dangerous wolf pack. Here, Wang Fugui, who also remembered that Xiao Su was the only person who had survived after going through the horrors of Mount Jingsan, recommended Xiao Su to become a travel guide for the mercenaries. But Xiao Su didn't want to, as he was the one who knew best about how dangerous the place was. Trying to persuade him, Fugui also said that if Xiao Su could get them out of Mount Jingsan, then Xiao Su could get the chance to live in a fortress called a lightning refuge and live properly in it, which would have remained just a dream for fringe people like them. But even though this was a great opportunity for Xiao Su, she still wouldn't go and act as their guide. And so he left the shop while eating his piece of brown bread. Among the mercenaries Xiao Su had seen, he was distracted when he saw a woman in hat. After watching her for a long time, the two of them briefly looked at each other. Well, is this called love, guys? Of course not, guys. Here, Xiao Su feels that this woman is very different from the other mercenaries. After returning to his shanty house, Xiao Su, who seemed to close his eyes, entered the mysterious room again. He also wondered what exactly this place was. Is this his superpower that has been awakened? Because he also often hears about people who have successfully awakened their super abilities. Even his own young brother has gained superpowers. But Xiao Su still doesn't know how to use the superpower, and next to the typewriter there is also only a piece of paper that says to learn a basic skill, and there is no procedure to be able to use it. At the same time, Xiao Su came back to his senses when he heard Wang Fugu's voice, who seemed to be carrying some strangers. Of course, he was bringing people from inside the 113th fortress and recommended Xiao Su as their guide to pass through the faint mountain. Throughout the journey, Fugu also kept praising Xiao Su because he was the only person who could return from Mount Jingsan in one piece, which made him the best person to be their guide. Even though he said that Xiao Su was the right person, Fugu had also previously said that Xiao Su was also a mentally ill person. That's what made the man from inside the wall wonder what Wang Fugu meant before. Fugu also explained that it was nothing, because the mental illness he experienced was a normal headache in his brain, which Xiao Su got after being attacked by wolves. But his illness would not cause any problems when he became a guide. Fugu then called Xiao Su out of his house because there was an honored guest who wanted to see him. But suddenly, Xiao Su came out carrying a seat and said, "Congratulations," because both father and son survived labor, and the baby itself weighed 3.24 kilos, he said. He also told Fugu to give breast milk to the baby, even though it was just a seat, guys. Of course, here Xiao Su pretended to be a madman. And in the end, the two people who came from inside the fort immediately left, after knowing Fugu even brought them in front of a madman.
你今天一晚上之内给我找到合适人选，我就要出发，少给我们当幺蛾子。这小子就算。
Among the merchants, Xiao Su also saw the woman he had previously seen, and his superpowers also experienced a reaction when Xiao Su noticed it. And this is where he began to understand how to use his power. Xiao Su activated the basic level skill paper sheet to learn the skills possessed by the woman in the hat. In the process of learning this skill, time seems to be stopped. At the same time, a system screen also appeared telling Xiao Su that Xiao Su would learn the target skills randomly. And among the several skills possessed by the woman in the hat, here Xiao Su got the firearms skill, and in a short time, he got the ability to use firearms at an advanced level.
已随机抽取对方的枪械技能。你已学会高级枪械精通。
And then the stop time returned to normal when the process was completed. Xiao Su, who was now starting to feel himself getting stronger, asked the system, "What level was this woman's firearm skill at?" The system replied that her skill was at the perfect level. As Xiao Su continued to stare at the woman, Liu Yuan teased his brother, who rarely paid attention to women. If he is so inclined, the younger brother is also willing to find a sister-in-law for him. After the two returned to the house, Liu Yuan saw that there were already 3 potatoes and 3 antibiotics on the surface. This shows that the person who gave this was the one who knew that Xiao Su was injured. Other than his brother, the only people who knew about the injury were Wang Fugu and Miss Li Xiaoyu. And among the two of them, the most likely to do this is Miss Li Xiaosu, who is very kind to Xiao Su. Liu Yuan is also very sure that she was the one who gave them to him, because last year when Xiao Su had a high fever for a few days due to the attack of the wolves, someone secretly sent some medicine pills to this house, and it is likely that the person who did this lived nearby. That's when the voice of Miss Li Xiaoyu started coming from outside, where it turned out that she was being forced to live under the same roof as the glasses-wearing thug. As she continued to resist, he eventually resorted to violent means to fulfill his unfulfilled wish. After hearing Li Xiaoyu's cries and before going into action, here Xiao Su also got another mission that told him to help the lady. And of course, even without getting a mission, Xiao Su will help people who have given him help. Xiao Su left the potatoes that had just been baked and immediately switched to fighting the thug. In their fight, the most surprising thing was that Xiao Su used his bone knife to destroy the thug's knife, which was made of metal. After successfully subverting the thug, Xiao Su also took the thug's weapon fragments. And of course, he will finish off the thug. But before stabbing his weapon, the system gave him another mission, asking him to free his opponent this time. It is true that here, Xiao Su did not finish off the thug, but he stabbed the knife fragments into the waist, which was not a vital point. Xiao Su also advised the thug to immediately go to the nearest doctor to stitch up his wound before he really died.
多做一下缝合，也许还有希望。如果及时去急诊的诊所。
And thus, Xiao Su successfully completed 2 missions at once, and as a reward, he got back 2 sheets of basic skill learning paper.
我都说别惹他了。
To disperse the crowd, Xiao Su stuck a shard of his bone knife into the ground, scaring the locals away. Shortly after their departure, Xiao Su also further asked Miss Xiaoyu to call him if there was ever a problem like this again. In addition, he also explained that although he was indeed handsome, unfortunately he could not be with Miss Xiaoyu. But Xiao Su here is immediately heartbroken when Miss Xiaoyu says that she only considers the MC as her younger brother.
我只是拿你当弟弟。
The scene moves inside the mysterious room that Zhao Shu calls the Palace Room, which is where he is now. Holding 2 sheets of basic ability learning skill paper, Zhao Su felt that he had indeed completed the mission to help Miss Li Xiaoyu before. But he did not expect that he had also successfully completed the mission to free the opponent. From this, Zhao Shu considered that the judgment of this palace seemed a little unreliable, and he could be manipulated. At the same time, a side quest appeared that asked Zhao Shu to get sincere thanks from 100 people. Here he had obtained a thank you from Miss Li Xiaoyu, and then from the typewriter in front of him appeared a gold coin, and an idea came to his mind, where Zhao Shu then told his younger brother to thank him. Zhao Shu's strange and too sudden request even made the younger brother feel shocked. But in the end, Liu Yuan thanked his brother for taking care of him all this time. One more gold coin appeared from the typewriter, showing that Zhao Shu's method was not in vain. Because he was still not satisfied, Zhao Shu again forced his younger brother to say thank you again. But this time nothing happened. And of course it was because his sister didn't say it sincerely this time. Nevertheless, Zhao Shu continued to force his brother to say thank you in various ways, asking him to say thank you in the right mood, adding emotion to his words, and changing his expression. Of course, after the second coin, no more coins appeared despite Zhao Shu's attempts. His brother's behavior also led Liu Yuan to believe that his brother was mentally ill, as people said. Because Liu Yuan's words made Zhao Su a bit annoyed, he finally revealed that he had awakened a special ability.
我可能
Re-entering the palace, Zhao Shu then began to pay attention to the gold coin with the symbol of love, and it turned out that on the other side there were words of praise, which, after further study by him, suddenly the mist on the floor surface began to react. And that's when the condition suddenly appeared. A large red box, which turned out to be a vending machine.
这什么？
After finding a hole with a picture instruction to insert a coin, Zhao Su immediately inserted a coin that he was holding. And from a box with a key logo inside the machine, a black bottle with medicine written on it appeared, which was then transported out by the machine. Here, Zhao Shu felt confused. What exactly is this ointment medicine for? Because the writing is just medicine. And that's when, from the direction of the ceiling, came a system voice explaining that it was a medicine that could treat all kinds of external diseases.
药，外敷可治各种外伤。
When Zhao Shu came out of the palace, his brother thought that Zhao Shu, who could suddenly bring a bottle, must have used magic. At that moment, Zhao Shu began to remove the bandages that bound his hands to test how effective the ointment he had just received was. After applying to the wound, the ointment also did not give stinging like ointments for external wounds in general. Seeing this, the younger brother thought that his brother must have the ability to make medicines, well, similar according to Zhao Shu, but he needed a written thank you from someone to create a medicine like this. Then Zhao Shu asked his younger brother what he should do if he wanted to get a thank you note from someone quickly. According to the younger brother, his brother can do good things outside the home, such as giving food to people who are hungry. Then if people give us food, what do we eat? Zhao Shu said angrily. After acquiring this ability, Zhao Shu also wondered why his and his younger brother's abilities were so strange when compared to other people. For example, Liu Yuan has the ability to wish. He would write down his wishes every morning to make others lucky, but this ability did not apply to himself. While others get lucky, Liu Yuan has to accept pain, and even if the wish is too heavy, he will fall ill for a few days. In the middle of his musings, Liu Yuan saw a shooting star and intended to make a wish, but before he could do so, his brother stopped him. Liu Yuan also immediately changed the subject by asking why the shooting star he saw disappeared so quickly. According to Zhao Su's idiosyncratic thinking, it was because the star ran away because it didn't want Liu Yuan to make a wish. That night, Zhao Su kept thinking about how to get sincere thanks from others. The scene switches to Academy 113, where Liu Yuan is studying. On that sunny morning, Zhao Su and Liu Yuan had just arrived there, and before entering the class that had not yet begun, Zhao Su told his younger brother to play ball with his friends first, while Zhao Su himself was going to meet a teacher named Mr. Zhang, where Zhao Su came at the same time to pay his brother's tuition fees. Mr. Zhang was seen taking care of his small garden. While doing his hobby, he also told Zhao Su that Mr. Zhang often saw Zhao Su, who came very fast to pick up his brother after school and stood in the yard around the classroom. Of course, Mr. Zhang knew that Zhao Su was secretly paying attention in class. Zhao Su did not deny that he was very interested in learning, but he did not have enough money to pay for tuition. Furthermore, Mr. Zhang explained that the children who are sent to school here are mostly forced by their parents, so that these children understand basic literacy and just counting. After that, they can work in the factories in the area. However, it is because of this coercion from parents that children today are not very enthusiastic about following the subjects. So, people who are interested in studies like Zhao Su are very rare. Off the topic, Zhao Su here also asked about the unrest that he had encountered when listening to Mr. Zhang's previous lesson, where Mr. Zhang had said that, before the disaster that caused this chaotic era, 200 years ago humans had built advanced technology, but in the end, everything was destroyed by the disaster. From Mr. Zhang's one statement, Zhao Su's question was, why didn't humans recreate technology like in the past? Indeed, all technology has been destroyed, but not humans. Mr. Zhang further explained that after the disaster period, the environment occupied by humans became very bad. This also resulted in humans finding it difficult to survive. Of course, just surviving is difficult, let alone having to do research again. While helping Mr. Zhang with his gardening, Xiao Su also continued to ask, can't humans build a civilization like in the past by utilizing and studying data from the past so that they don't need to do research and can save time? Mr. Zhang replied that unfortunately, after a disaster that destroyed technology, people have to learn and start all over again, from point zero, from what Mr. Zhang knows. It is true that there are research data from the past, and not all of them are damaged. However, these data are now in the hands of only a few people, said Mr. Zhang while looking at the fort. Before the class started, Xiao Su also asked a final question, which was, when was the protection wall in this place built, and what was its purpose? Mr. Zhang explained that in this era, wild beasts had been rampaging willingly. Rumor has it that there was a nest of ferocious insects, and that's what forced humans to build a fortress wall intended as a refuge from the threat of wild beasts. This statement made Xiao Su wonder, because from his own experience, most of the beasts would not take the initiative to attack humans. Then, is the fortress built with high walls really used to avoid the threat of wild animals? Or was it something else? In this case, Mr. Zhang told Xiao Su to find the answer himself, as it was time to start class. In addition, Xiao Su, who was interested in the lesson, was also allowed to attend the class, but he was not allowed to go inside.
多谢先生了。
Mr. Zhang's lesson this time was survival class. He said that everyone should stay alert and not think that danger is far away from them. Although there are parents who protect children like them now, when they grow up, they must protect themselves. And this time, Mr. Zhang will discuss what they should do when they encounter wolves in the wild. Here, Mr. Zhang directly directed the question to Xiao Su, who had to answer it. Along with that, a mission also appeared that read, "The thirst for knowledge is good, but the knowledge must be taught." In essence, this mission tells Xiao Su to share knowledge with other guys. It seemed that the students were enthusiastic about hearing the answer from Xiao Su, who was good at survival, until finally Xiao Su said that if they met a wolf, then what needed to be done was to go to a hilly slope surrounded by trees, because it would be a beautiful burial place. Of course, even though the students were serious, Xiao Su's answer was like someone who wasn't serious. But in fact, Xiao Su was serious about it, because Xiao Su himself was a person who had experienced the horror of the terror of wolves who had a large body size. So even if they only encounter one wolf, the only way is to choose the most beautiful grave yourself. After hearing Xiao Su's unexpected answer, Mr. Zhang finally stated that from now on, Xiao Su would be a substitute teacher in the survival class. This was followed by the previous mission being declared complete, and as a reward, here Xiao Su is given increased physical strength. And with this, began Xiao Su's days as a substitute teacher in the survival class. After becoming a substitute teacher, an idea also crossed his mind to be able to increase the gold coins in the palace. Xiao Su then explained to his students that Mr. Zhang, who always teaches them on a daily basis, had worked hard. Therefore, from now on, Xiao Su wanted the students to change their greetings by saying, "Thank you, Mr. Teacher." And now the students are immediately told to try saying it.
吃好了，就说谢谢老师。所以以后上课大家不用说了。谢谢老师。来，咱们试一遍。
But it seems that the method used by Xiao Su did not produce any results. The typewriter in the palace didn't spit out any more gold coins. This shows that the disciples were not sincere in expressing their gratitude to the teacher. And of course, as a teacher who keeps giving lessons, talking a lot without drinking a sip of water, but instead his students are not grateful, which makes Xiao Su feel very annoyed, even though his throat really felt dry after teaching. And in the midst of his annoyance, from the other direction, Miss Xiao Yu was seen selling her earrings at the market to earn some money to survive. But the seller was flirting with Miss Xiao Yu guys. Finally, Xiao Su, who was still feeling annoyed, came to ask Miss Xiao Yu not to sell her earrings because he would give her money for the 3 anti-inflammatory drugs he had previously given her. Seeing that Miss Xiao Yu had refused the money, Xiao Su again asked her to take it. Zhao Su said that he did this not because he didn't want to accept Miss Xiao Yu's love, he just didn't want any modesty in their future relationship. Not only are we confused by Zhao Su's words, but Miss Xiao Yu herself is confused. What exactly is this person talking about? Trying to look cool, Zhao Su explained to Miss Xiao Yu by using proverbs, even though the proverbs he used were nonsense, but he was still confident.
哥，你说的不对，朱晨跟你喝汤了，而且咱人家不都是一起吃肉吗？怎么办？
对啊，我重说，我一口汤喝，就有你一个碗，以后有。
From these strange conversations, Miss Xiao Yu's relationship with Zhao Su in terms of fraternity eventually grew closer. And from here on, Miss Xiao Yu would also frequently visit Zhao Su's home. Next, we move on to a clinic that is the only clinic in this peripheral place. Here we are also shown a doctor who seems unwilling to help a dying patient. Despite the patient's wife's pleas, the doctor does not want to take care of this patient because he does not pay with money, but instead pays with some potatoes on the grounds that he does not have money. Zhao Su and others who saw the incident could not help. Taking care of your own life is already difficult, let alone taking care of others. And because the clouds that brought acid rain were getting thicker, the three of them continued their journey home. By the way, what we saw at the beginning of the scene was also acid rain. So many people were running for cover.
赶紧回家吧。酸雨要来。
On the way home, Liu Yuan thought that if his brother wanted to receive sincere thanks from others, perhaps becoming a doctor was the solution. But unfortunately, that wasn't possible, as Zhao Su himself had no skills in that regard. But to Zhao Su, his younger brother's thinking was very smart, and from now on he was determined to become a doctor. But the sky that sent lightning seemed to not approve of Zhao Su.
当医生。
The next day, and still around the market area, we will be brought back to the front of the clinic. When the doctor came out of his house and stretched a little, that's when Zhao Su, who had been waiting behind the door, immediately activated the basic learning skill paper to copy the doctor's ability. Of Mr. Doctor's randomly selected abilities, here Zhao Su gets an unexpected ability, namely the ability to deceive. This made Zhao Su feel annoyed, and his loud shout also made Mr. Doctor feel surprised, because it turned out that there was a man in front of his clinic. Still trying to get the medical abilities possessed by Mr. Doctor, Zhao Su also returned to using the last remaining learning paper. But again and again, the random skills he got were the same, namely the ability to deceive. This fact really made Zhao Su feel emotional. Walking slowly towards Mr. Doctor while preparing his fist, Zhao Su also said that this doctor turned out to be a liar who liked to deceive his patients. But Mr. Doctor tried to deny Zhao Su's words that had no evidence. To make sure, Zhao Su also asked the system, and from the system's answer, it finally became clear that this doctor actually had no medical skills. So all this time, he was only making false diagnoses with his deceptive abilities. And in the end, the doctor had to be hit by Zhao Su's Flying Walk's ultimate move. In the evening after returning home, there was also Miss Xiao Yu, who had also prepared a meal for Zhao Su and Liu Yuan. In addition, Miss Xiao Yu was also here to sew up Zhao Su's torn clothes. After preparing the meal, Miss Xiao Yu also asked about what the siblings usually ate at night. Liu Yuan replied that they didn't usually eat dinner, which made her feel worried. The two boys in front of her needed to eat a lot in order to grow and develop at their young age. In the middle of the dinner, Zhao Su suddenly said that he had decided to open a stitch clinic specializing in external wounds, and that Miss Xiao Yu would be the nurse in charge of stitching up the wounds of his patients. Although Zhao Su had no medical skills, she was able to create a highly effective ointment made from a secret recipe of natural herbs that could treat all kinds of external wounds and reduce inflammation. To prove it, Zhao Su began to remove the bandage from the wound on his palm, and sure enough, the previous wound was now completely closed in no time. Xiao Su wanted to set up this clinic also because the doctors in this place were not doing their jobs properly. So to help people, she set up the clinic. According to Miss Xiao Yu, the problem was that these days there were very few people in the market who fought, so it took days to find people with stab wounds. And if that was the case, then Xiao Su would have gone the brutal route, where she would be the one stabbing people in order to get patients. But he didn't do that because it was too much, guys. The next day, Xiao Su put up a signboard in front of his residence, and using his legendary pan, he also started making herbal medicines using random ingredients. He did this so that the residents would believe that he was the one who could create the elixir. But from the looks of it, the concoctions made by Xiao Su looked horrible and smelled terrible. In addition, Xiao Su did this also so that his super abilities were not read by the opponent. He also told his brother to never reveal his special abilities to others to avoid unwanted things. And then, instead of continuing to listen to his nagging brother's ocean, Lu Yuan went straight to his school. Several hours had passed, but until now no one cared about what Xiao Su was doing, until finally he had to pull a passerby while covering his nose. It was because Xiao Su's concoction smelled so bad. After pulling the man and seeing his reddened eyes, Xiao Su immediately stated that this man had a problem, and as a solution, he must taste the herbal medicine that Xiao Su was making at that time. Xiao Su also introduced that his medicine was able to reduce inflammation and pain and heal wounds quickly, and it was this medicine that caused the severe wounds he had received to heal quickly. But this man didn't believe it, because all he knew was that Xiao Su was able to heal because he had strong determination. And soon after, when people started to show up, Xiao Su also started promoting himself. He introduced his medicine to them with a confident tone.
以前我一直精心隐藏这个药方，当了自己肩上的责任。终于认识到了自己的错误。俗话说，是人，我要把这珍贵的药方拿出，就要开一个专治刀伤与大家分享。我人小外伤的诊所，不错过。以前都是210块一粒的，不要客气，不要犹豫，走过路过药，现在只要88，只要。
But while he was in the middle of his promotion, people took advantage of the moment to leave. And of all the people who had just left, there was one who was left behind because he had to pull a heavy cart filled with wooden beams. After approaching the man, Xiao Su also offered the treatment to him with a bright smile in a rather pushy manner. But even though he was pushy, the smile on Xiao Su's face didn't seem to change at all. After seeing the wound on the man's arm, Xiao Su explained that the wound must be healed immediately before it gets worse. In fact, the man felt that it was only a minor injury and did not need to be treated. After being forced, the man still did not want to be treated, even though Xiao Su had given a discounted price. Because he was annoyed, he would also provide free care and treatment, and this gentleman also accepted it gracefully. Instead of anything, Xiao Su offered the man this time while pointing a knife at his windpipe, so these gentlemen can't refuse it. Next, we switch to another place, where we will be shown with mercenaries who are traveling to Fort 112 to escort the singer lady named Luo Xinyu. They themselves were in the forest then. They also pulled over briefly to rest on the way. The guide who replaced Ren Xiaosu said that they were almost there, and that in the next 2 days, they might be able to reach their destination. But as the woman in the hat, Yang Xiaojin, checked the situation, she sensed that something was wrong. As she looked around the area, Xiaojin realized that this was the same location that they had used for camping 2 days ago. Of course, the guide had made them all go around in circles at one point, which meant they were now lost. The situation is made even more tense when, at night, there begins to be a roar that sounds very terrible. And that's the first order in episodes 1 and 2, guys. If you like this series, please comment and like. And thank you for watching until the end. And the last word from me, bye.